Scott Soderstrom, November 17th.
Jonathan Warman, nice to see you again, my friend.
November 17th. Hey.
And roll.
All right, we're rolling? Yeah. I noticed that we're drinking, so this was the table wine from Bronzino, this Montepulciano.
I recognize it from that when you were a bartender, yes.
And that's why I bought it.
It's good. It's got a very nice script style label. It's quite lovely. It's a Montepulciano.
It's
D'Abruzzo.
It's good. I think it's really fruity.
It's earthy and fruity.
You know what it reminds me of too is Michael Rico.
Hey, it's his last night at the Sushi Koshiba tonight.
Are you serious?
I wouldn't lie about that. It is. He's moving on to other things.
What?
During the 90s, during the grunge years, Bad Animals had their Christmas parties there. So you had Cameron Crowe and Nancy Wilson and Ann, and you had Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. They would do their sometimes Thanksgiving, Christmas parties. But the bistro was where I found Dale. Dale was half owner with Tommy Martino. And Dale said, I got a little place down in Pioneer Square. My friend Flex, his name was Flex. Flex is moving to Las Vegas. Come take a look at it. Because I told him I wanted to get out of the place I was at. Actually, the place I was at was with Matt Jenke over in Central District. And Matt had Matt's in the Market, which was the smaller version. He expanded into the larger version with the View. But Matt was a I think a sous chef at El Bistro. And Jill Buchanan was a cocktail waitress. They went on to make La Cocho down in the Harbor Steps. They all became great friends. So for me, sometimes life's pivot points happen with decisions you don't really realize are going to be so important to you later in life. For me, deciding to be a busboy at El Bistro rather than trying to find a head waiter position because I had all this pedigree was the best decision because I essentially made the lifelong friends that ultimately went through the city and made kind of a tenuous fabric, not tenuous, but a fabric that people moved on, but we all stayed friends.
It's all vibe.
Yeah. And so Dale was the half owner, and that's when I moved into your place back in '93, I think. And it was in disarray. I made many trips to the Home Depot on the bus and grabbed paint cans and various things. And I painted it lipstick red, and it had a really nice vibe because it would change throughout the day, as you know about your place, as you went towards sunset. And so the red would change.
Best sunset.
And at night, I hung lights, and so the ceiling would disappear a bit. So you had this kind of sense that you were moving through a place that was seeping womb-like. Yeah. And I had some great parties there. They did all the work. They sanded these floors down to this beautiful place it is. They put up the drywall, and the meshing up top, changed the stairs, added some appliances. And then a married couple came in, and they did some work too. And so what I kept on doing was looking from afar, because I'd always coveted this spot down the hall. Although I didn't really bug Murray, so I didn't see it much. But I tell you what, it was very brown, and it was very grooved, and it seemed like it had a lot of dust. And so after all those improvements, I said to myself, would you even consider moving back up those stairs 87 stairs after you'd already moved everything out? And I came with a girlfriend, and I looked at it and I was like, all right, Dale, let's talk. I think I'm going to do it. I got a lot of restaurant people from the Queen City to help me, and we moved my stuff from various storage areas and the Centennial in Belltown. And I moved back here, and that's been, what's 2005, so we're 12 years, I guess. Yeah.
What the arrangement is.
Yeah.
And how has Samus been? And we won't say...
Difficult.
We won't say the name Samus. So
How's the transition been? Well, I'll tell you. It was scary. I'd already made contingency plans to maybe go to the Post, and I started thinking about what I'm going to do with this. My first plan is just to leave a lot leave a lot behind. And that it would be good to streamline my world. But I wanted to save it. I just knew that the onus was on me to come up with $7,000. They'd raised my rent from $2,500 to $3,500, and they wanted a last month deposit, a credit check, and last pay stubs. So it's like, yeah, I can probably arrange this. I can make it work. I can come up with $7,000 some way. But I was complacent and felt like I was being swept up a little bit without a whole lot of control, and I didn't like that one bit. One night I was at Damn the Weather, and I was telling my story to the bartenders, and a young man sitting next to me said, well, I just moved in to 80 Main, and I just signed my lease. I've only been there 2 weeks. Maybe I can break my lease. Let me come see the place. And so he did, and he did what a lot of people do when they come here. They just kind of do like this wobbly knee drop, and they say, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He wound up being such a great guy. He essentially did the co-lease sign with me and showed his last 3 pay stubs. He works at WebMD, and I was able to do a co-lease sign with him and keep the place. So that's essentially the story.
That's great.
Yeah.
How long do you think realistically it is until they just totally retrofit and pull the trigger?
Well, I understand they're going to work start in February with the other 3 units, Dean's, Randy's, and your old place, and they're going to spend that enough time to make that happen. So I believe I have a year's lease, and I believe that if they come in and I allow them to put in base heaters or whatever they need to do, that if I'm a good tenant, they'll let me stay. And as I look around in my place and I see all the stuff that I have accumulated, I would hope that they're not just keeping me at bay for a year with plans to move me out. And that's essentially how I look at it.
Where the hell would you go? Would you go to Hawaii or something?
I could.
I don't know. I see you there, and I see you killing it.
I'd rather spend. What I do now is I spend a month around February, and I spend a month around August.
Yeah.
And so having a month there makes me feel it out, and yearn for the sounds of the city again. So I'd rather continue. I'd rather work remotely, and do the great work I do with my sister, and get augment with another job, because I have all the plates spinning on sticks and I can do it, and stay here and be able to work remotely from Hawaii or the Bay Area, Marin County, where the headquarters is for the matchmaking company. That's the plan. So having my rent go from $2,500 to $3,500 and arranging a roommate situation allows it for me to continue to stay here at an economical price that is much cheaper than if I went and found a small studio, because the ones that have any kind of amenities or look or feel are 22. So if I can arrange an 18 and a 17, then I'm saving money and I get to keep all my stuff. I hope that's going to continue to be the same way. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. For me, it's fair. For me, the price is fair in that Randy and Inga, they're not going to want to have a roommate, and they just have one room.
Do you know what their
I went to 33.
Holy shit.
Yeah, 33. Which is slightly less than mine. The square footage happens to be, just because of its arrangement, just slightly less than this. Although this feels big, it's not as big as you would expect. Dean went from, I think, 23 to 45. And Dean, even though she could have been creative and arranged some room where all the artwork is and maybe had somebody sleep there, she's not one to have that. I, because of my failed relationships, am a perpetual bachelor. And just like the sign says when you come in the door, clothing optional. So, I mean, I find that I've had girlfriends and roommates. I've had a variety of people. It really works pretty well. There's not a feel here with me being kind of the center of it, that anybody is being, I don't know, oppressed, or they have to stay in the room, or they think that I'm some kind of scoundrel or a person that they can't get along with. And so it just works. And if it wouldn't have been that way, then I wouldn't have been able to keep this. But I've essentially made, I wake up in the main room, and I've got the sleeper and the Nevada room. And, you know, the Nevada room is quite easy to get to, and upstairs isn't bad. It's a little low ceilinged, but it feels great up there. So I could do this, and I could see myself staying here for, you know, let's say the next 5 years, and vetting new roommates and having them come in here and say, "Are you kidding me? Yes, I'll take it." So I don't feel, you know, I feel like I've created a setting that anyone would feel like they could be themselves and comfortable at, and it's no sweat for them, and it's no sweat for me.
I've never felt uncomfortable.
And I think that's true for a urban setting. It's not, you know, I couldn't live in the quiet suburbs. It's just not my deal. So if you have the energy to live in the city and you want to do it, you will bend, and you'll take the full energy of how you live and encompass that in the way that you choose your lifestyle. It's not for everyone, as we always say. You know, Michael Rico and Dale and other people, we just say, you know what, it's not for everyone. And that's just the case here. And it works for me. I'm a bachelor, and if I have no designs on, you know, courting and then kicking people out. It's just, this is, at 52, I'm fully baked in my personality. I'm just going to do the things I'm going to do with all the variety of friends I have, the full spokes of my wheel. And I'm not going to make those silly mistakes that young people make. I'm just going to live my life and do it in a way that I find conducive to my lifestyle.